So here we have the slightly confusingly named HTC One Mini 2, so called because HTC released the original HTC One, which is now known as the One M7, followed by the One Mini, which was a smaller version of the M7, and then obviously they brought out the HTC One M8, and this is the smaller version of that, hence the HTC One Mini Mark II. It's quite a mouthful. I don't think it's a naming convention that works particularly well, and I'm not sure if they'll continue it in future because it's been the source of a lot of complaint and confusion. And it's just kind of an awkward mouthful to say, you know, if somebody asks you, oh wow, what phone is that? And you have to kind of go, it's the HTC One Mini 2. It's just a little bit clunky and difficult, so not a fan of the name. But as far as the phone goes, you might be forgiven for noticing that it's not particularly mini, actually. I mean, if we compare it with the actual M8, then you can see it is considerably smaller. However, compared to other phones, I mean, compared to the iPhone, compared to other Android phones, and indeed the HTC One M7, it's not actually very small at all. So if you were the kind of person who bought something online without particularly thinking about the dimensions and what those meant in real life, you might be pretty surprised when something this size turns up on your doorstep. It's not actually very small at all. One of the lovely things that they've carried across from the M8 in terms of the handset is the brushed aluminium design. It's very beautiful, very smooth. It's almost too smooth, really. I mean, when you hold it in your hands, it's kind of quite slippery. I'm a little bit worried about dropping it. The M8 has a lot more weight to it, so I'm less worried with that phone when I'm holding it in my hand, but because this one is so small and light, it does feel a little bit unsafe. So if this was my phone, I would want to buy a case for it immediately, just in case of accidental droppage. The handset is very beautiful, much like the M8 itself. The brushed aluminium finish is there, although it's lower metal content than the M8. Which partly accounts for why it's so much lighter. Also, in terms of that brushed metal case, it's very, very curved, even more so than the One M8, and this causes an issue that I didn't have with the larger, heavier phone, namely that if you put it down on a flat surface, which I do with my desk at work quite a lot, and you're kind of typing on it and you're tapping on the screen, then it rocks like a seesaw, which is very, very irritating. It looks a little bit like this. So if I just type some nonsense words here, you can probably see it, you can probably hear it. Touching anywhere on the screen with one hand or two causes this, particularly near the edges of the phone. It's just very, very wobbly because of that curved back there. It just has this seesaw effect when you put it down on a flat surface. It's quite annoying when you're trying to type if you have the phone on a desk or a table. I would probably want to get a case to mitigate that a little bit, but really it's a bit of a design flaw. In terms of cases, there isn't sadly a dot view equivalent for the Mini 2. It's a real shame because it's such a cool feature for the M8, you know, it's really one of the selling points and one of the quite exciting and different things about the phone. So it's a real shame that there isn't a smaller equivalent for the Mini 2. But in terms of handset design and build quality, it's every bit as good as you'd expect, every bit as good as you'd hope. It's actually pretty much as good as the M8. The only real difference is obviously the size and the metal content, but you're probably not going to notice that unless you're Iron Man. The size isn't enormously different. It's probably enough that you're going to notice it if you're using them side by side, but obviously really where you're going to see the difference between these two is in hardware performance. But yeah, in terms of build quality, everything you'd expect from the M8's little brother.